A warm welcome to all my students. This session is going to talk about the general characters of invertebrate and their classification in detail. First of all, I introduce the topic. Animals is an animated, moving, perceiving, that is realized something, reacting being with ingestive feeding, determined growth, and they have remarkable and characteristic patterns of behavior. Animals are simply known as a member of the kingdom Animalia and is typically characterized by a multicellular body, specialized sense organ, voluntary movement, responses to the factors in the environment, and the ability to acquire and digest food. The word animals is derived from the Latin term animal, anima, which means air or breathe or soul. Animals have different structures and different forms, yet there are common fundamental features in relation to body symmetry, arrangement of cells, the nature of coelom, patterns of physiology, etc. Animal kingdom are classified into two broad groups, namely invertebrata and vertebrata. The animals which lacking a notochord are called as invertebrates. What is notochord? Notochord is a flexible rod-like structure that forms the main support of the body found in the lowest chordates. It is the primitive backbone, but in invertebrates which lack in backbone, they have a solid nerve cord which is located on the ventral side. Now what is nerve cord? Nerve cord is the major cord of nerve fibers running the length of an animal's body, especially a ventral side in invertebrates that connects segmental nerve ganglia. They are invertebrates, and in invertebrates, alimentary canal is present dorsal to the nerve cord. So what is the mean by alimentary canal? It is commonly known as digestive tract, the long passage inside the animal's body in which food move along from the mouth to the opening where it leaves body as waste. More than 95% of the animals are invertebrates among the estimated 15 to 30 million animal species. So, invertebrates exist about anywhere and everywhere, like marine water, freshwater, and land. Normally, these are tiny animals and do not grow very large. The common examples are sponges, worms, insects, snails, crabs, prawns, lobsters, starfish, etc. Now coming to the general characters of invertebrates. They are multicellular. It's more than being a colony of individual cells. These cells are working together for the survival of the organism. So, all the cells have specific duties and responsibilities. Absence of notochord and have nerve cord, we already talked about this one. Most of them have tissues that are specific organization of cells except sponges, because sponges have cellular grade of organization. Most invertebrates can move. Even sponges move when they are very young and very small. Once they settle down, they do not move anymore. Other invertebrates like snails, lobsters, crab, and insects move around their whole lives. Most invertebrates are organized in a way called symmetrical, some of the asymmetrical. Symmetrical organization, which means when you can draw a line down the middle of the organism and the two sides look like the mirror images. Draw a line down the middle of yourself and one side looks like the other side. So simply, body symmetry is the similarity of parts in different regions and directions of the body. There are 5 types of body symmetry in animals: asymmetry, spherical symmetry, radial symmetry, biradial symmetry, and bilateral symmetry. First, we see about asymmetry. In asymmetry, the body parts are irregularly arranged around the central axis. Such animals cannot be divided into two equal halves. For example, protozoan animals like amoeba. Second is spherical symmetry. In spherical symmetry, the body can be divided into two halves in any plane. It is the symmetry of a ball. This type of symmetry is seen in spherical animals, for example, volvox. Third one is radial symmetry. In radial symmetry, the body can be split into two equal halves. These halves are also known as antimeres. This antimeres by any plane passing through the central axis from top to bottom. So, here the parts of the body are arranged around the central axis. In the animal kingdom, radially symmetrical phyla are Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, and Echinodermata. Fourth type is bilateral symmetry. In bilateral symmetry, there is a single plane. The median, longitudinal or sagittal plane through which the body can be divided into two similar right and left halves. For example, platyhelminthes, annelids, arthropods, and some mollusks. In biradial symmetry is the combined form of bilateral and radial symmetry. The parts are arranged on the sides of two planes, namely a sagittal plane and a transverse plane. For example, some ctenophorans and some echinoderms. Invertebrates cannot make their own food, so scientists use the term heterotrophic. Heterotrophs feed off other things to get their energy. So heterotrophic is one of the main characteristic features of being an animal. So the animal eats things, whether it is plants or other animals. Invertebrates are diploblastic or it sometimes triploblastic. Embryos of poriferans and coelentrates have two germinal layers called ectoderm and endoderm. These animals are known as diploblastic animals. An undifferentiated layer that is known as mesoglea is present in between the ectoderm layer and endoderm layer. The embryos of all other animals have three germinal layers, namely ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Mesoderm is present in between the ectoderm and endoderm. This type of animals are called triploblastic animals. For example, platyhelminthes, aschelminthes, annelids, arthropods, mollusks, and echinoderms. Invertebrates are acoelomate or it sometimes pseudocoelomate or it sometimes coelomate. Now, what is coelom? Coelom is the body cavity, or it is known to be internal space located between the body wall and the alimentary canal. The body cavity is lined by mesoderm. Among the invertebrates, annelids, mollusks, arthropods, and echinoderm possessing coelom are called coelomates animal. In some animals, the body cavity is not lined by mesoderm. Instead, the mesoderm is present as scattered pouches in between the ectoderm and endoderm. Such a body cavity called pseudocoelom, and the animals are known as pseudocoelomates. For example, Ascalminthus. Which animals the body cavity is absent? They are known as acoelomate. A means absence. The coelom is absent. The animals are known as acoelomates. For example, Platyhelminthes. Invertebrates are metamerically or pseudo-metamerically segmented. Segmentation is the division or differentiation of the body into distinct portions called segments or metameres, or it known be somite. In earthworms, soap, the linear arrangement of segments one behind the other. This type of segmentation is called metamerism, and the animals are called metamerically segmented. For example, Annelida and Arthropoda. In Platyhelminthes, such as tapeworms, exhibited a repetition of structures in each segment. As the new segments are formed from the anterior region, this type of segmentation is termed pseudo-metamerism. In invertebrate, circulatory systems is either open type or it may be closed type. What is meant by open type circulatory system? The open type circulatory system, which means the blood flows freely through the cavities since there are no vessels to conduct the blood. For example, arthropod animals. The closed type circulatory system, which means the circulatory system has vessels that conduct the blood throughout the animal's body. For example, annelids. They exhibit all possible types of reproduction, that is, asexual such as budding, fragmentation, and sexual reproduction means possible through fusion of male and female gametes. Invertebrates have 4 different grades of organization. They are protoplasmic grade, cellular grade, tissue grade, and organ system grade of organization. In protoplasmic grade, which means life activities are confined within the limits of the single plasma membrane. For example, protozoans. Cellular grade organization means the cells only exhibit division of labor for performing specialized function. For example, sponges and mesozoans. The third grade is tissue grade. This is 2 types, cell to tissue grade and tissue to organ grade. In cell to tissue grade, examples is all the coelenterates animals. Tissue organ grade organization found in Platyhelminthes. The 4th type is organ system grade of organization. Here, organs are joined in a system to perform basic functions. For example, all the higher invertebrate animals. Now coming to the classification of invertebrates. The kingdom Animalia is classified into two subkingdoms, namely Protista and Metazoa. The subkingdom Protista includes all microscopic unicellular organisms. It contains a single phylum Protozoa. So all the protozoan animals are microscopic in nature. They can't be able to see using naked eye. The subkingdom Metazoa includes all multicellular organisms. This subkingdom Metazoa is divided into three branches, namely Mesozoa, Parazoa and Eumetazoa. Here, the branch Mesozoa is intermediate between Protista and Metazoa. It includes worm-like entoparasite animal. These cells are differentiated into somatic cell and reproductive cell. Parazoan includes sponges. They are multicellular with poorly defined tissues and without organs. Phylum Porifera is included in Parazoa. Eumetazoa includes true multicellular organisms. U means true. So Eumetazoa animals are true multicellular animals. They have organ system grade of organization. Eumetazoa is further divided into two grades, namely Radiata and Bilateria. Radiata includes radially symmetrical invertebrates. The phylum Cnidaria, otherwise known as Coelenterata, are radially symmetrical animals. Bilateria includes bilaterally symmetrical animals. Phylum Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelids, Arthropoda, Mollusca and Echinodermata are bilaterally symmetrical in nature. Again, bilaterally symmetrical are classified into three broad divisions, namely Acoelomata, Pseudocoelomata and Coelomata. Acoelomate animals, a body cavity is absent. The phylum Platyhelminthes for the example of acoelomate animal. Pseudocoelomate animals, a false coelom is present. Here pseudo means false. Coelom is body cavity. So the phylum Aschelminthic animal, pseudocoelomate animals. Coelomate animals has a true coelom is present. So it is otherwise known as eucoelomate animals. So annelids, arthropods, mollusks and echinoderms are coelomate animal. Bilateria is further divided into two broad groups, namely Protistostomia and Deuterostomia. In Proterostomians, the blastopore develops into the mouth. Example, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelids, arthropods and mollusks. In Deuterostomians, the blastopores develops into the anus. For example, echinoderms. Here we see the detailed flow chart of classification from animal kingdom to phylum level. Here this table shows the several characters of phylum with their example. Phylum Protozoa contains unicellular microscopic organisms. For example, amoeba, paramecium, and euglena. The second phylum is Porifera. The Porifera contains multicellular, diploblastic, asymmetrical, cellular grade animals. There are also absence of mouth and anus. Here, a special character is features found in poriferans, that is canal system. In coelenterate, radially symmetrical, cell to tissue grade, they have tentacles with stinging cells and triploblastic animals. They have a special characters as metagenesis. What is the meaning of metagenesis? Metagenesis is an alternative form of reproduction occurs in this animal. That is, polyps produce medusae by asexual reproduction. Medusae produce polyps by sexual reproduction, which means one time asexual reproduction occurs, next time sexual reproduction occurs, then third time asexual, fourth sexual. So it is the alternative form of reproduction. For example, Obelia, sea anemone, and Physalia. Platyhelminthes are bilaterally symmetrical, tissue to organ grade, acoelomate, and triploblastic animals. So some example of platyhelminthes are Taenia solium, Fasciola hepatica. Aschelminthes are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, organ system grade of organization, and pseudocoelomate. For example, Ascaris, Wuchereria bankrupti, and Cyclostoma, etc. Annelids are bilaterally symmetrical, eucoelomate, triploblastic, and metamerically segmented. For example, Nereis, Ferretima, and Hirdinaria. Arthropods. Arthropods are the largest phylum. They are organ system grade of organization. Bilaterally symmetrical animals, eucoelomate animals, triploblastic, and metamerically segmented. For example, Apis, Bombyx, Laxiferlaca, prawns, crabs, spiders, etc. Phylum mollusks are also bilaterally symmetrical, soft-bodied, triploblastic, coelomate animals. Phyla, Pinctada, Sepia, Laligo, octopus, etc. are some examples of mollusks. The last invertebrate phylum is echinoderms. Echinoderms are bilaterally in nature, bilaterally in larval stages, radially in adult stage. Organ system grade of organization is present, triploblastic and coelomate animal. They have a special characteristic features is present, that is known as water vascular system. Water vascular system is composed of canals connecting numerous tube feet. Tube feet is found in echinoderm animals. The tube feet, which is used for locomotion, food and waste transportation, and respiration using the water vascular system. For example, Astrias, Echinus, and Cucumeria. Thank you for all your kind attention.